gentlemen, welcome to the Metal Lab. We're live. It's the new year. We're all done with the holidays and the joyfulness and the terrible scheduling of the holidays being on Mondays this year. It's crazy as all heck. But we're here. We're back. It's time to talk HeroClix. I'm joined this week by much absent, much missed, much love to be back, Mr. Mike White.
Hi, everybody. Thanks. Missed y'all, too.
And Jay.
Yeah, I'm also here.
Mostly here. He's here in spirit. He has a spirit, right? All right, so we disappeared for the holidays because, you know, Christmas Eve and New Year's, it kind of fell on this day, and it was just a nightmare to try to ask anybody to be silly enough to do this stuff live. So what we did, we took some time off, and WizKids rewarded us for that. Because while we were gone, we started seeing previews of Earth X. I mean, for the most part, for the holidays, I didn't get much hero clicking at all. In fact, most of my gaming was in the form of video gaming. I don't know. What about you guys? Mike, did you do much hero clicks over the holidays?
No, unfortunately not. I managed to get one game in right there at the end of the year, which was super awesome. But it was the only game I managed to have time for in the, God, I don't know what it's been, like 3 months or whatever, since that WKO in October or something that I finished top 4, something like that. So no, sadly not. Much like you, really, it's been more gaming for me. Destiny 2 all day, every day. Titans, what? No, sadly no.
What about you, Jay? Getting a new HeroClix job, that is.
Yeah, that did happen.
Congrats on the job.
Oh yeah, I guess I haven't talked to you much since that happened. Well, we had that tournament just before the end of the year. That was fun. What the hell did I played? We had a tournament at 401 last week of was 400 points, and Future was considered name because New Year, Future, all that fun stuff, and once per game, a Future character could get a God prob, so prob like anything, even a roll that couldn't be rolled anywhere on the map. I went futuristic Batman family, although technically I think it was Gotham City. I was technically a Gotham City theme, but there's so much overlap there. I started with Old Man Bruce Wayne. I don't think I had the chance to play him yet. He looks fun. I added Hardak Batman as his apprentice. And it's really fun to me how I think one of the best Batmans to add powers to him is the Surfing Batman with the charge reflexes close combat expert. This is just a good overall power combination if you just want raw stats, essentially. I had 2 Bat Knights, the Helena Batgirl from No Man's Land, so the charge flurry plasticity one, Leslie Tompkins, Dark Knight Returns, Robin. I was going for a Bruce Wayne is pretty screwed in the future and has some robots and then some female-related characters also. I lost a game to Mike, just barely, because I couldn't roll 7s with like 12 probs. Just didn't happen, among other things. 1-2 other games was fun. And yesterday we had, because it's the Deadpool kit now, all the store didn't actually have the kit in. I heard some stores were having problems with distributors getting it in. It was also 400 points. Deadpool doesn't break theme. I ended up bringing one team that had I ended up bringing 2 teams as I was judging. I was like, I'll see. I'll bring one Marvel, one DC, see what people want to play against. So I had a Marvel team of the Shifting Focus Deadpool on a Uncanny Avengers team. So I had the Spider-Man ID card just to fill in points. Old Man Cap from Avengers to Vendors. UXM Quicksilver. The Rogue from UXM at the full 150. The Dr. Voodoo from the OP kit that was intended to be Uncanny Avengers. And I didn't have room for Synapse, but that's okay because she kind of sucks. So I ended up playing one game with that team and winning against Devin's Civil War set Thunderbolts, plus the Baron Zemo from Superior Foes, plus Hammer of Thor set Moonstone. And his attack values were all +1 because of Baron Zemo. He should not have been missing as many attacks as he did. But well, those were crit misses, so I ended up winning basically because of dice. I played another game against one of our locals, Bruce, who had Battle World Other, and he has ridiculous pull lucks. So he had a Sheriff Strange at 50. He had Maestro. He had a 50-point World Breaker, and he had the Running Shot Energy Explosion She-Hulk. But in this game, I asked him what he would prefer to play against. I pulled out my DC team, which was basically the Almost Gotham episode of Batman the Animated Series. So I had the prerequisite Batman Primus Croc costume with the optional trait. I had the champion-made Harley Quinn from the Flash set. I had Title Joker, Fast Forces Penguin, Joker's Wild Two-Face, which is basically the only good one, Fast Forces Poison Ivy, Joker Thug, and the Penguin map bonus. I ended up winning map. I completely mispositioned the Penguins. They got Running Shot to Energy Explosion, which was whatever. But I ended up winning it out despite his ridiculous numbers. So I had some good modifiers. I had some outwits. I don't think he actually ended up taking points, but Batman turned into the other Batman with the optional trade. It was a good game. And then I played against, I can't remember his name. He's from out of town. What was it? Milos, I think was his name. Yeah. And he brought a 400-point Unimind. So it didn't matter which of the two teams I was playing, but I ended up going for the Batman enemy team. And I got Unimind to a stop click, and then he basically killed one thing, and then that was just the game.
I mean, if you would have killed one thing, you would have won.
Well, no.
Yeah, he basically
if he killed one thing, Unimind would pop out, and he would have got nothing. So he
got a
would
bunch
have
of things that he had to kill.
You got to kill two things.
Yeah, I did manage to do some cool stuff. Like he had, I think it was 4 Eternals and the Symbiote, which I don't know the math on that, but whatever. So I ended up winning map roll with the that team and using seals. Basically, one seal moved on top of the Symbiote.